Winnipeg is known for its cold winters, gold medal Olympic speed skaters, as well as popular annual street festivals. But what many Winnipeggers don't know is that we are actually a very fashion-savvy city, producing some of North America's top designers, as well as young designers who are hoping to make a name for themselves.
You have to be able to sew, and you have to be creative, two of the key elements that young striving fashion designers need to have. But aside from that, also beneficial for these young artists is to have someone with experience in the business to look up to.
Hi, my name is Andrew Leonard Taylor Bickford. I'm a local fashion designer here in Winnipeg.
Bickford has been designing clothes for 5 years. Living in his Exchange District loft, it's given him the ability to work at home. He doesn't like to put a certain style name on his brand. It's clothing that everyone can wear.
Again, another one of my denim jackets.
His clothing has been featured in local shops here in Winnipeg and on the runway.
You've got lots of little tiny pieces.
While at his last fashion show, he was approached by Alex Espinoza, a fashion designer from Winnipeg who has been in the business for 30 years.
My grandmother that's how she raised her family, by making clothes, and then my mother has a diploma in fashion design. When I was a little kid, there's sewing machines and fabrics around the house.
Espinoza is Bickford's mentor, and he speaks on why he thinks the 23-year-old has the potential to make a name for himself.
Oh, he's excellent. He's one of those designers that has identity in his design. He's very good.
But for an artist who never attended fashion school, Bickford describes everything that he's learned from his mentor.
He's definitely showed me how to draft a pattern from scratch, taking all those measurements into mind and showing me those little tricks that you only know from years and years of experience. I believe he has 30 plus years of experience in the industry.
But for students who have decided to take the post-secondary education route to learn about fashion, the University of Manitoba Clothing and Textile program offers students a chance to learn how to design in the fashion world. But after they graduate from the program, the real question is whether or not they will be staying in Winnipeg or traveling to a bigger city. Mike Silver, owner of Silver Jeans, located here in Winnipeg, has sold over 70 million pairs of jeans, and he is the perfect example of someone who has made it in the industry and stayed in Winnipeg.
The beauty of being in Winnipeg is that you can travel the world and you can come back here. And it's pretty sane here. It's pretty normal here. And this is the real world here. This is the people who really buy fashion, is more of the people who live in Winnipeg. Those people in New York, LA, and Paris, there's not enough of them to buy fashion. They may make an opinion on fashion, but the real people who buy fashion are the people living, in Fort Rouge, in Transcona, in Fort Garry. Those are the people buying fashion all over the world.
But even after all of the success that the Silver Jeans company has brought in, Mike Silver still manages to stay pretty humble and speaks on his company's biggest accomplishment to this date.
I think the biggest accomplishment was a few years ago when somebody called me a brand. I used to think of myself as just someone who was responsible for making a lot of blue jeans and making people happy. And then when people called us a brand, I started turning red and getting embarrassed.
But aside from Silver Jeans, 2 other Winnipeg designers have established a name for themselves here in the city. Rebecca McCormick, owner of Cake Clothing, located in the Exchange District of Winnipeg, speaks on how her clothing line separates her from other designers.
It's a little shorter, comes open in the front. It's a little bit more dressy line. And I know a lot of young designers do more urban wear, like, nice tops, and because there's a huge market for it. So, but there's a big market for this, but it's a different kind of market. It's a specific market. So I'm very different.
Jill Sawatsky's clothing line, called Tony Chestnut, has a completely different feel to it.
I also really like to take my inspiration from nature, keep things really natural. But mostly I try to always appeal to people that are busy, but also take time to be creative. Because I actually like to think of myself as not really a fashion designer. I definitely follow the fashion world. I'd be silly not to, but I've never really been super into fashion. I more see fashion as a vehicle for my creativity.
But Silver has a little bit of advice for these young designers.
Winnipeg's as good as any place to design from because designing requires A, the passion, that you have the passion for fashion. It requires that you be dedicated and you be prepared to starve. But I think also that you need some technical ability, and you can get that technical ability, whether it's at Murdoch Mackay at the high school or whether it's at the University of Manitoba. One of the lessons that I always taught my designers and anybody starting out who wanted to be successful in the fashion industry was to stay stupid. And that meant don't, you know, when you get advice, like old guys like me in the industry always tell you, well, don't do this and don't do that and don't go here and don't do this. And then you end up doing nothing because you're afraid to do anything. And some of the most innovative designers and innovative products that have been created are from people who went, I have an idea, I want to stick towards it, I'll listen to advice, but I still want to stay a little bit stupid.